Welcome in to the Ole Miss Morning-After Show with me, Ben Garrett at Spirit, been on Twitter. I write for the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, and affiliate of On 3, and he's Bradley Sowell, former Ole Miss offensive lineman, 8-year NFL vet. We do this after every single game, every Sunday morning. It's dark in my room, wherever Brad is, parts unknown. It's dark there too, but we do this. We come together because we want to have this for you on Sunday mornings. And Brad, Ole Miss beats Tulane 37-20. Had to come back from a 17-7 deficit to do it. 20 unanswered points. Jackson Dart, a gritty performance, 17 of 27, almost 300 yards passing again. Most impressively, 2 touchdowns, ran it for 14 carries, 41 yards, didn't score, but an offensive line that wasn't protecting him. A lot to go over today. What are your initial impressions, though, from Ole Miss's win over Tulane?
So I watched the game. I was in Monroe, Louisiana at my daughter's softball tournament. I drove all the way over to Pearl River Community College, kind of in that area, Poplarville. Had a lot of time to think. I was up and down. I was super emotional the whole way home. Like I was trying to justify, like, oh man, first game, it's super hot outside. A decently quality opponent. Honestly, Tulane's D line was impressive. We need to go the Jenkins kid. We need to get him in the portal, offer him whatever we need to offer him. But they have a few D linemen that are legit, and that Jackson wide receiver as well. But I'm thinking, okay, first game, on the road, actually a decently serviceable opponent. Like, Tulane's not bad. I don't think they'll lose another game all year. And if their quarterback's there today, they probably beat us, honestly. But, man, I was trying to justify in my head, but then all of a sudden you go look at the stats, you think, 1 for 13 on third down, you're never going to win. We're lucky to even have won a game with that. Then we carried the ball 2.5 yards a carry versus Tulane, dude, and didn't particularly throw it well. So I don't know what I think. Honestly, dude, like I was super optimistic after Mercer. Right now, I'm like everybody else. I'm like, I don't want to kind of run from the truth, but man, I don't know. I don't know what to think. I'm hoping Tulane's just a better team than obviously they're a good team, but I hope they're a little better than what I think.
Well, we talked about it on the flagship on Thursday, me and Zach Berry, and I said I thought it was going to be an uncomfortable game, that Ole Miss would be up like 21-14 at halftime. And then they would extend out toward the end. That's what happened, but it's the way they got there that was kind of concerning, specifically with the protection issues up front. And you being an offensive lineman, for the second straight week, Victor Kern, the transfer from Washington, started at left tackle, not Jaden Williams. And Jaden started all 13 games at left tackle last year. Was a revelation at left tackle, quite frankly, because they didn't go into the year thinking that's our left tackle. He became that, and yet he's either in the doghouse or Victor Kern's just that much better in practice, because Victor Kern took pretty much every single snap against Tulane, even with their inability to protect Jackson Dart, to open running lanes for Quinshon Judkins. Because for me, this game was just about the result. I didn't care how you got there. I didn't. It was going to be ugly. I mean, get the result. Did you win? Yes. Okay, then mission accomplished. You can flush it. And there were a lot of things that you can build off of with this game, specifically Michael Trigg. Michael Trigg stepped up when his team needed him to, finally, and made the big game-sealing touchdown catch. But Jackson Dart, he is Ole Miss football, and he battled through. He gritted through. He's the reason why. But defensively, they bounced back. And as long as they got the result, I'm not going to sweat too much. But the offensive line issues, what was going on? Because for me, like, there was no push up there.
Yeah, well, whenever I'm in a group text. I always refer to this group text that's a bunch of Ole Miss guys. One of them's Todd Wade in there, and I finally text Todd. I said, "I'm gonna need the damn coach's copy of this game. I do not know what is going on. Every time we snap the ball, we were getting smoked." So my initial impression, without like seeing it from behind and looking, they were really committed to stopping the run. Right? I mean, you look every time. Even we had a hat on a hat, they were shooting linebackers through. Kind of got out schemed a little bit, man. Like honestly, just there's so many times where the ball was snapped and there was somebody in the backfield. It had to be something scheme-wise that they exposed or something, because there's no way Judkins 2 weeks in a row really pedestrian numbers. I mean, two yards a carry. So something's going on. I'd love to watch the copy and kind of see, but man, there was always a free backer. And then in the pass rush, I mean, dude, they were just getting beat. I mean, there were times they were just getting beat. I don't think it was anything special. I know the one kid, number 0, I think Jenkins was his name. I mean, he was just lining up winning. I mean, just winning late. And some of that's attributed to, hey, like, go down to Tulane on the road, super hot game. Like, and this sounds like an excuse. I get it, but like, unless you played football, like, man, that they were in for a dogfight, dude. And it was hot out there. So like, them old legs start getting heavy with them big ass knee braces they make you wear. That led to some of the, hey, that you initially blocked the guy in that second effort, that second move. They were just getting there and they were hitting Dart. And man, even that touchdown that Dart made to Trigg, I mean, that was a hell of a play by him, dude. He should have got sacked. He should have got sacked on that play. And, he escaped and made the touchdown. So I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out, dude. Like either Tulane's really good or the SEC D-line and O-lines are about to absolutely expose us because
See, I don't take much of anything from the game. It is what it is. They got the win.
Yeah.
Outside of the offensive line, there are issues up front. There's protection issues up front. But I kind of pushed back against the idea if Michael Pratt would have played, suddenly Tulane would have just beaten the brakes off of Ole Miss after that first touchdown, just like against Mercer. 60-yarder this time in that first drive for Tulane on like 3rd and 9.
Wow.
And that leads to the touchdown. But a bust play, and then defensively they settle in again. Now, one thing that I'm wanting to watch moving forward is Suntarine Perkins, because he led the team in tackles last week against Mercer in his first college game. He's a former 5-star plus prospect on 3. And yet here against Tulane, he was almost specifically relegated to special teams, which is not what I expected at all. But again, it's hard to argue the results. I would say put that kid, who's one of your few next level talents, especially in the back end of your defense, put him in there and let him learn on the fly. But also, it's hard to argue with the results. Yes, the first drive for the last 2 weeks have been bad, but Pete Golding's defense is why Ole Miss won. And Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's heroic, almost single-handedly. It's like Tennessee for Matt Corral that last year for him. It felt in many ways like that. It was Jackson Dart's game to win because Trey Harris is hurt. Trey Harris has got an MCL issue. It's probably going to keep him out multiple weeks. Definitely going to keep him out, in my opinion, for Georgia Tech. Lane Kiffin, I thought, made a really good point after the game, and we're going to hear from him in just a second. He said after Tulane made its initial push, its initial burst, Ole Miss outscored them 27-3 the rest of the way. And there is something to be said for that. So if they'd started 27-3 and ended up winning, with the same score, but Tulane scores late, how are you feeling today? I don't get too caught up in the result. Yeah. I do want to see improvement from the offensive line. I want to know what's going on with Jaden Williams, with Eli Acker even, and also Suntarine Perkins. What about you? Because I think Suntarine Perkins at worst, they need to be lining up like Harold Perkins when he was a true freshman. And Pete Golding and Lane Kiffin have forgotten more football U2 than I will ever know. However, it just seems pretty obvious for how good of an athlete he is, at least in pass rushing situations, like with Harold Perkins for LSU last year. I mean, he's just got to be on the field somewhere at some point.
Yeah, it just tells me that we don't, like, as a fan, we don't see the truth. We don't see the full scope of it, right? Like, these guys are with these players every day at practice. They see the strengths, they see the weaknesses, right? Like, they may not think he's completely ready. They may not want to put him out there yet. We don't see, how he's grasping concepts. We don't see how he's taking the defense. And that, I don't know if he does or not, but I'm just saying, a lot of the times, what I always try to tell myself is, hey, Lane Kiffin and staff, if they have a player that they think is a game-changing player, there is no way in hell they're going to leave him on the sideline. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't think that, right? I mean, you got to think, if you think he's a game-changing player and he's that good right now at this moment, Perkins ain't going to be on the sideline. So there's something going on at practice, whatever, who knows, that they feel like, hey, maybe he's not ready for a full load yet. And that's fine, dude. He's a true freshman, right? Not many true freshmen are. Aiden Williams, same way. We all thought he'd be killing it. He ain't. I mean, it is not easy to step into a big high pressure game from high school. So these guys, they're going to be fine. The guys are going to be fine, but something is, we just don't see the full scope of it, right? They may not be completely ready to be in there yet, and it may or may not click at some point. But there's no way that Kiffin's leaving those kids on the sideline if he thinks, hey, they're going to change the scope of the game. To me, since I've been kind of following Kiffin, whatever, at Ole Miss, he's always kind of leaned on the experience. He's very rarely stuck it. Quentin Chon's probably the first time I've seen him stick a freshman in there and just say, hey, dude, you're the guy. And really didn't do that until later in the year. So I think Kiffin always, goes, even with the whole Jaden Williams, I would love to know what's going on with that. But I mean, this Kern kid, I guess, got experience or something. And I don't know. I got to figure. I'm going to dig in and figure out, because there's no way you would waste a year on a kid that's supposed to be your left tackle, for the future, not have him in there. So something's happened with the kid or something.
But Lane Kiffin did answer a few things after the game on Saturday. Ole Miss beats Tulane 37-20 to move to 2-0. Here's Lane Kiffin.
I commend Tulane. That's a really good team that played really hard and obviously gave us a lot of challenges today. And just like they've given a lot of people. I mean, they won the Cotton Bowl 1 year ago, and so top 25 team. I commend them. They're well coached. They played really hard, very, very tough up front. And their front seven on defense gave us a lot of problems. So I commend them, but then I commend our players too. May not feel like it, but 20 game ended 27-3. So after they made their early run, halfway through the second quarter, I think we outscored them 27-3 the rest of the game. So, that's some guys doing some things right.
Lane, what did you think of Jackson today, especially in the run game? It wasn't easy to get, some of the other guys going. What did you think of his performance combined with that?
I thought really tough, really battled in there. The first drive went like the whole game did the week before, went right down, and then, Trey got hurt and came out, and for whatever reason, we just couldn't get our rhythm back. And so I thought he didn't play perfect by any means, but he played really tough and physical. I think he tried a little too hard once we started struggling. Everything had gone well so far this year, and so I think if anything, he tried too hard, in the passing game.
What was the biggest difference defensively in the second half?
I think we just settled down, and tackled better. And then once we got up, they had to throw the ball, which we were hoping, obviously, to get up and make them one-dimensional, and felt that our rush could get after them and give a new quarterback some problems. But we eventually got there. It just took longer than we were hoping.
You talk about Jackson Dart. How much do you feel like he's improved as a pure passer, and how has that kind of come to light these first two games?
Well, he's done a great job, had a really good offseason. I wouldn't have guessed the numbers were going to look like they did today, but that happens. It's football. Those guys, are a really good team and made some plays, and he lost his receiver early, and, we just kind of miscommunicated on some things and kind of stumbled out of a break on a pick. So, but guy made a great play on the touchdown to Trigg. That was not schematical. They did a good job. Guy came free, and Jackson made a great play. So that's why recruiting is important.
Wayne, how much losing Trey so early in the game affect or alter whatever scheme or offense y'all had kind of maybe built around the most of the way?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that, but it felt like that. I think we all felt that way. I would not have thought that because they got confidence in our other guys, and we got a lot of good skilled players. But for whatever reason, once he went down, it did kind of feel that way.
It seemed like a lot of the big plays, especially in the second half, came from guys who had been here previously. How important is it to have those guys, be able to make those plays when things aren't going well for you?
I think that's kind of, going on the road the first time and team come together. It's easy to play at home and everything's going well, and it's the same place you've scrimmaged in. Now you got to go on the road, and I kind of sensed that actually in warm-up some. Some new guys weren't around us, didn't really know how we do things, and a little bit of wasted energy before the game, and just weren't kind of used to how we do things here. So I felt like a number of the guys that had been here, made plays. Saw Prince making plays late, Ivy, said, Jackson, Q.
What did you tell the team at the half? When you guys obviously down by 7 and outscoring them by that big margin, what did you kind of tell your guys in the locker room?
I just said stay with it. I really felt like they had done a really good job, but also kind of do this long enough, things go your way some half, and sometimes they don't. And I felt like a lot of breaks went their way, and sometimes we were going really fast and they'd be misaligned, and that can help you sometimes too. So I really felt like it was just kind of everything went the wrong way, so let's not freak out and change, make major changes, keep staying with it and doing your job individually.
Do you have a prognosis on Trey? Does that feel long-term to you?
It does not.
I think it was 30 yards rushing. Were you done finishing that question?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not giving any more than that.
I think it was 30 yards rushing for your team at halftime. I know with some of the struggles of the offensive line in the first half, do you feel like something kind of changed in the second half? You really kind of opened things up a little bit?
No, I think we just in general struggled running the ball, period. They did a lot of movement, a lot of different stuff up front. They got some good players up there, and they played really hard. I don't know. I kind of feel like this was their Super Bowl. If you look at their schedule, I'm sure they looked at it saying, all right, if we pull this off, we got a chance to run the table and go to the playoffs. So they showed up like it.
With the unknown for them at quarterback, just how did you guys prepare throughout the week for them, and what adjustments did you guys make at halftime?
Yeah, we were assuming the quarterback was playing all the way up until we got here and saw him warming up. So we didn't really play much different, maybe a little more aggressive, with more pressure on an inexperienced guy. But, guy made a couple plays early and got himself some confidence.
Secondary seems to have improved a lot since last year. What did you see from them, and then how big of a hire has Nuno Hudson been for you?
I thought that the corners made a lot of plays today. You mentioned Prince, and so Key, we've had him before, and he's done a good job with these guys. And we got to get home and get better and prepare to play better and play more complete games. But the good thing is we showed again in half of football that's pretty good. Top 25 team and whatever in the game on 27-3 run, it's pretty good.
Kate Davis hit a 57-yarder. What gave you confidence to send him out there in that situation?
He's done that in practice and scrimmages, so sometimes we luck out on some things too. I think we false started on the quarterback sneak. It didn't look like we were going to make it, so that kind of put us in that spot. But again, we could have punted them deep, but just really said, hey, we got to have confidence in our players, because that is a scary situation because you got to kick it lower and it's a one-score game and worried about it being blocked versus punting, but put it on them and they came through.
Do you think it was kind of closer to, when it comes to kind of team morale, is it closer to you're all very excited and pumped that you guys were able to make adjustments and run away with this one, or were you kind of closer to we should have beaten them by more since Pratt was out of the game? Like, what's kind of your mindset at right now, you think?
I think probably your players that have been around here are probably more like me, we didn't play very well today. And, it was ugly. But, again, it ain't like we just kicked the field goal 1 second left or they missed one to win. We ended up winning by 17. So, guys did a good job, but it didn't feel great, obviously.
You were talking about settling in. It was in the second half when they had a turnover on down. Cedric Johnson, laid into the quarterback and all that, went down to the blade. Do you feel like the tide was kind of starting to turn right then and there, or do you feel like it was do you feel like that's where kind of things kind of went down pretty good?
Yeah, I thought things definitely changed our way, and then we scored, and it just felt, kind of like a breath of fresh air. I don't remember exactly, but I think that tied it. So once it got tied, it was kind of like, okay, there's some pressure back on them now, with the second team quarterback. So that I think started to feel a little bit where people maybe didn't play so tight.
What do you think of the O-line?
Our O-line? I thought that anytime you run like that, you probably struggled up there. I think their number 0 is a really good player. And I think those guys played really hard, and I think we made some mistakes.
The Ole Miss Morning-After Show with Ben and Brad is brought to you by Jake Ott of Bank of England Mortgage. Buying a home? Take the first step by getting pre-approved by the Jake Ott team at your local Bank of England Mortgage. Buy with confidence, knowing the exact cost and what to expect by getting the paperwork behind you on the front end, making for a relaxed, stress-free home buying experience. Whether it's your game day condo, starter home, dream home, investment property, beach house, or mountain home, Jake Ott and Bank of England Mortgage have the financial solution for you. And through the end of 2023, they're offering no-cost refinance for all who purchase in the current high-rate economy. Interest rates will come down soon, but Jake Ott and Bank of England Mortgage will be there to save you big money on your refinance when the time is right. Let Oxford's Best take the stress out of your home buying experience. Check out Jake Ott and the Bank of England Mortgage team at www.boeoxford.com. That's boeoxford.com, or you can contact Jake directly at 662-832-4663. That's Jake Ott of Bank of England Mortgage, the title sponsor of the Ole Miss Morning-After Show with Ben and Brad. I'm looking ahead down the schedule, and nothing for me has changed. Now, I'm worried about Trey Harris. I'm worried about their injury situation. Caden Prieskorn, when will he be back? He had the surgery, the cleanup surgery on his knee. We think that Trey Harris is going to be down for at least a couple of weeks with an MCL something. He was their number one option in the passing game. He and Jackson Dart connected for 5 touchdown passes in the first 2 weeks. And let's be honest, it wasn't even 2 full games. It was like 4 quarters, 1 full game, 5 touchdown passes. Started hot again today, looked great, and then boom, he goes down. That would give me pause because I haven't seen Jordan Watkins has done some good things. Dayton Wade was awesome today.
He has been, man. Dayton Wade has always – he's like that – I don't know who to compare him to, but he's always making like that one catch or that one play that like – and I just love his story. But yeah, he's always
calling Big Play Wade. He's Big Play Wade. Just write it down.
He really is, man.
And today had a career high in receiving yards. He finished as the team leader in receptions with 7, had a career high 106 yards. 2 touchdowns went to Trey Harris and Michael Trigg, and then Trey goes down. If you can continue to get contributions from guys like that, at least as you prepare for Alabama, the hope is you'll get at least one or both of, but I don't think that's going to happen, of Priest, corner, Harris back for an Alabama. If you don't, seeing Trigg step up against Tulane, making that big play at the end of the game, a clinching play, seeing Dayton Wade, like you said, that 43-yarder he called in, just like against Mercer, was a ridiculous catch. Great throw, but only Dayton Wade could catch it, and he caught it. I feel like my opinion hasn't changed. I'm curious about you.
Yeah, no, I think my biggest concern, I think we got plenty of talent. I don't think we're a championship caliber team this year. I don't, and that's just me being honest. I think my biggest concern is some of the execution and some of the schematic stuff, right? Like how do you go through a whole game plan only convert 1 third down versus Tulane? You know what I mean? And I think and my concerns are that, and you look at Judkins, man, he didn't, dude, as a team we averaged 2.5 yards a carry. Anytime that you line up and you go 1 for 13 on third down, you average 2.5 yards a carry. You're lucky. You're playing a really good team. You're down in Athens. You're losing 42-6. That's a God's honest truth. Like, you were to a really good, a higher caliber SEC team. You're losing by a lot, and that's my concern, right? I think talent's there. We got to put my foot. I mean, the way we play offense, like some plays work good, but over the last some odd games in the Kiffin era with Dart, I mean, it's looked a little street ball. You know what I mean? Like Dart has, and I'm gonna tell you right now, shout out to Dart, man. The kid, not perfect, but he plays hard as hell, and we got to appreciate that, right? Like
I think he's taking a step in his play. He looks like a different thrower.
He does, but I just appreciate how tough he plays, right? Like that dude will tuck it and run. Like he's a tough some gun. He's a big play waiting to happen always, right? That play with Trigg, dude, when he dodged the dude, I mean, that was awesome, man. Like I appreciate the way he's playing. I think that's awesome. But my biggest concern is like the way we're executing on offense just isn't very clean. I think Kiffin would say the same thing. Like, man, this schematically, it just does not look clean. And we got to figure out, we know, hey, Judkins gets all this hype, pay him a ton of money. Like, they're coming after his ass, right? He came in as a rookie, kind of quiet, guy, whatever, balled out. They know that's where our bread and butter is. So they are coming after his ass. We got to figure out a way to be better in the passing game at times, right? Because they're not going to let Judkins just line up and run over you. I guarantee you every scouting report, because you go in the week, you have your few guys that you got circled. He's circled on there, man. Like, hey, we can't let this guy run the ball on us, and the box is stacked. So I think that we're gonna have to figure out a way to be a little cleaner in the passing game. 1 for 13 is, man, that's you're gonna lose a lot of ball games.
Fortunately, you're talking about this though after a 37-20 win over a top 25 team. It's Ole Miss's first come from behind double-digit win over a top 25 AP team since 2016. And it's easier to nitpick like that. It's still early season, right? This time last year, we still didn't know who the quarterback was after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We know who the quarterback is. And Jackson Dart's doing a good job of covering a lot of things up. And we've talked about this countless times, and we will continue to, because I think it's honestly the story of Ole Miss in 2023-24. Jackson Dart making that year 2 leap, step up like Matt Corral did. Yeah. This was a Matt Corral-like effort in year 2 under Kiffin. I mentioned the Tennessee comp. That's a little lazy because that was a legendary performance. He honestly had no weapons outside of himself to Matt Corral. But today, the protection failed Jackson Dart. His best weapon went down. His running game was non-existent, and he still found a way. And you and I have been around Ole Miss football literally, and I'm using literally correctly, kids, literally our entire lives.
Yep.
And I've seen Ole Miss put up those kind of numbers and the effort end up a blowout loss to a lesser opponent, or not even a lesser opponent because Tulane's good, but an AP top 25 team. We do need to add some perspective here.
Yeah.
You're coming off of a 17-point win, playing as poor, like we can identify the problems.
Yep, played that poorly and had enough talent to overcome. And whereas in the past, man, that just shows you where Ole Miss program is. In the past, that's a bad loss, and we're all crying about it, and we lost to Tulane. I personally don't think Tulane loses another game this year. If you look at their schedule, like if that is a very good D-line. I wouldn't mind poaching a couple of those guys in the portal. At the end of the day, we came out, tough environment, won the game. Not the easiest thing to step into there. I mean, they want to beat our ass. We're on the road. Tulane's not the same. When they scheduled that game, I think I texted you this or somebody. When they scheduled that game 6 years ago, whenever they did, they did not plan on having that caliber of Tulane.
And having one of the biggest crowds in the history of their stadium, and the environment was awesome.
Lit up, dude. Yeah. If we get it together and figure out the issues, is it a personnel issue where we're getting our ass beat, or is it just a scheme issue that we can clean up and get Juckins back going? Hopefully it's that. Hopefully it's just stuff we can clean up. And dude, the West is wide open. I mean, it's not like there's this dominant team this year. So I think we got the talent to do it. We got to get it going. And games like today are good early on. Think about it, dude. Like you get to a dogfight early, it kind of, you're not super. They're not gonna be super cocky rock around the facility. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, we went 1 for 13 on third down. Their O line, or their D line whooped their ass. Like we still got to get to work. So that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, last year they really didn't face adversity till week 8.
Yep.
So to face it in week 2 and a deficit, I think it could be big for this team.
Right.
The result, in my opinion, is all that truly mattered about this game, and they got that result, which was a win, because now they're still on schedule. For me, I'm still saying 9-3. You watch Alabama, you watch LSU, you watch Auburn, you watch Arkansas. You can make an argument for Ole Miss in the West, but you're right. Everything we pointed out here today specifically
has to be fixed
before we can really have that conversation. But you can make that argument, and you can make that argument even more when you're coming off of a 17-point win on the road of a top 25 team. He's Bradley Sowell, former Ole Miss offensive lineman, 8-year NFL vet. I'm Ben Garrett at Spirit Bit on Twitter. I write for the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, and affiliate of On3. And this has been the latest edition of the Ole Miss Morning-After Show with Ben and Brad, brought to you by Jake Ott. Contact him today for all your real estate needs. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate you, man. We'll do it next week.
See you, Ben. Howdy, toddy.